Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm 10 Types, as I show my Uncommon Fossil.
Hello, glad to be here today.
Yep, and today we are talking about Pokemon TCG Live and the different formats, because Live actually has now a good chunk of different formats, including the brand new or pretty new Build and Battle format, which is something we're going to talk about a bunch in this video here, this episode, depending how you're listening/watching. But it's definitely interesting to see how Live has developed recently. When I say recently, we have the Build and Battle format, which is very new, and then the Trainer Trials format, which is definitely a lot less new, but is still, something that is a newer format that Pokemon TCG Live is still, I'd say, experimenting with as well. Or I don't know. I mean, it's not in a. We'll talk about it, right?
Yeah, the trainer trials has been a little bit hit and miss, I would say. I'm pleased with the launch of the build and battle, which we'll get to. Do we start off like with just talking standard and expanded first, or what do you want to what do you want to do?
Yeah, sure. I'll actually first, before that, or kind of related to that, talk about there's like four tabs on the home menu. There
Yeah.
is ranked, there is casual, there is learn, and there is build and battle. Apparently, there's more stuff in learn. I was just looking through that. I've not done most of this. I assume you haven't done the stuff in learn, right? Or have you?
No, I haven't done the new Mega Greninja EX, but I have done everything.
Okay,
Yes, up
okay.
to
And
that
have you
point.
learned anything doing that?
No, it was good. No, if you're a player of moderate experience, I don't think you're going to learn anything. I think supposedly they said you're going to get rewards from it, although I don't know that I actually got anything. But the economy is pretty generous, so that's not been a big deal. But I like to just see what's there.
Yeah, it's theoretically useful. Obviously, helping new players with like a tutorial type of thing. The basic and standard lessons, I believe, are a pretty solid tutorial there, if I'm not mistaken. So that's cool, I
Yeah.
guess. It's not really a format. I wouldn't say at all. It's kind of weird how there's the four tabs, and the four tabs don't really. I guess there's kind of four formats, and the four tabs don't exactly correspond to the four formats.
Yeah, the one thing I will say with the Learning Lab, it's good that it's there for new players, as they kind of teach you different mechanics and stuff. But within it, they were very prescriptive of what you can do. Like when you need to click something, like if that's what's highlighted to click, you can't like check a Pokemon or something, which is a bit annoying, I will say. Like to read what you have to click what they say before without looking at the Pokemon to understand why you'd click it. They'll explain after. But and the other thing is the sequencing isn't always good, and some of the decision making is questionable, which it's not the point of the video they're trying to make, but it's still better to have just good decision making throughout the video to kind of reinforce that. So I wish that the general play quote of it was stronger.
Yeah, it's not a strategy thing really at all. I don't think there might be a little bit of strategy, but it's teaching you the rules of the game, which is useful.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think it's nice there. I don't know. I guess if you're a relatively new player, if you joined since this has been in the game, then have you like used this? And also, is it easy to find for new players? I don't know if it like directs you there. I think there's a little tutorial thing. This is kind of expanding on it, so it is good for a tutorial though, I'd say.
Yeah, they didn't place it well. Like you said, it's underneath these formats to play. But actually, the tab should stay play. The tab you have to click to get all these things is home. And I was looking at there probably should be like a play tab at this point. I would think in the game besides Dex profile, shop, battle pass, card decks. There should be it should be clear where you click to play a game. But that's I guess off topic.
Yeah, and I think I haven't really had an issue with it, but it is, as you're saying, a little weird. But then I guess we'll talk about. Yes, we're going through the tabs. You got ranked and casual, where you have standard there. The only ranked format is standard, which I think is fine. As we're going to talk about like there are obviously different formats here, and the more formats there are, the more options there are for players. But also, then
Yeah.
theoretically, the harder it could be to find matches. You need enough people in every format, which, as we've talked about off camera and off recording, we've talked about the build and battle and how I guess on video we said we were kind of nervous about being able to find matches, but it's been, I'd
Right.
say, completely fine. I found matches faster than standard, or
Yeah,
maybe
and even
faster.
yeah, the first day worked well for me, which I was glad. And even after a couple days, I checked it the previous evening of our recording, and it was still easy to find. The question will be, in a couple months from now, will that change? Because it, for things like expanded and trainer trials, sometimes there are issues with opponents. But yeah, I mean, I think look, ranked standard is good. Is obviously makes sense. Standard's the backbone of the game, so that should be ranked. Ideally, I would like to see expanded is ranked as well, just to give some variety, because you do get rewards from playing ranked that you don't otherwise. So if you want to get those in-game rewards, you're forced to play standard more often at times than I might like to.
Yeah. So how much do you play the other form? Like I play standard mostly, and I play some trainer trials, but that kind of depends. Not too much. And I dabble in expanded, I guess, but again, that's going to be even less than trainer trials. And then with the build and battle, I've done that some, and it's kind of cool. We'll, dive into that. That's going to be the bulk of this. But I mostly play standard, and I assume you mostly play standard. Also, I will say with ranked, if we find like better opponents, I think the matchmaking is
Yeah.
like if you are a new player, I'd recommend casual. If you play ranked, you might just get rolled over. You might like not really know what's going on. But with casual, you find at least in expanded, 'cause that's only casual. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, if you're a new player and you're having problems, yeah, casual's good, especially when the rank ladder resets, because people get moved down when the ladder resets. So if you're a new player, it's going to be tough at first. If it's towards the end of the rank ladder, then I think you should be fine in ranked, because you actually might even be better in ranked at towards the very end, because the people that play are better. They're going to have moved up at that point. So although, but you're talking about yourself, what you play. I don't play trainer trials very often. I do expanded more than you, so I probably play expanded 20-25% of the time lately, I would
Okay.
say. So I like that. I don't ever, when I play standard, it's always in ranked. I don't essentially almost never do standard. Casual, maybe occasionally if I'm trying out some really horrible deck that I really want to play, and I just can't manage to get even a competitive game in ranked, I might do casual, but that's very very rare that I do that.
Yeah, yeah, same for me. So tell us if you're watching on YouTube or whatever, tell us in the comments section if you play, if you're someone who plays both a lot of casual and a lot of ranked, what that experience is like. I don't know if that's something that people do. People play both that much, but I'd love to hear that. But overall, I think having casual is a good option there for standard. And as you're saying, with expanded, the ranked could be good, especially just get more people to play it. I've kind of complained about ranked making the games feel a little more um, I don't know, unfun and almost like toxic at times. Generally, before rank came out, a lot of people were asking for a ranked ladder in
Yeah.
Pokemon and before Pokemon TCG Live and Pokemon TCG Online, people were asking for that, and they got it. It is really what was it the main thing that Live added? I'm trying to think.
Probably for a long time that was, yes, the only thing that they really added was the rank ladder, I suspect. They've started to add some features, obviously build and battle, and a little bit. They've improved the deck builder too, which is nice. But yeah, probably the rank ladder, that was the big thing that a lot of people wanted that they added. I would say. Now look, to me, you were concerned the rank ladder would hurt. I don't think it's a negative thing. Now I'm not typically getting up too high on the rank ladder. I'm not concerned about that, so I'm happy to play whatever decks I want, which therefore means I'm not getting the highest win rate all the time. So I'm happy being low. I want to get a few rewards and make with it and have some fun. So, but I think maybe things get more toxic as you get higher. Certainly, the times when I've wanted to just make that push to get to Arceus or what is now Master League. When you're getting close, then I can see where things get more intense, right? Because every loss feels like you're getting further from the goal. But towards the bottom end, people are just playing the games and the decks they want. That's my experience.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely wouldn't say it's been like an issue. I wouldn't say it's been like I don't think the game's necessarily like I don't see a big improvement from ranked. I haven't really heard people say that much either, but I think it's it's fine. I'm not gonna criticize it at this point or say it's like super good. I will say, ranked when I talk about it, I'm talking about like the public, or not like public, but like the visible, rankings and tiers, not um matchmaking, not like skill-based matchmaking. I think skill-based matchmaking is important. You want to, if you're like a new player, you don't want to play against like the best player in the world, um, on your first match, and yeah, and on the other side of that, you also don't want to play if you're like someone who's very experienced. You don't want to play against someone who's super new. You're generally looking for even matches, but you can have that in casual. And I don't know what the matchmaking is in casual. Lives recently talked a little bit more about matchmaking, but like not that much more. We don't really know much about it, right?
No, I mean in ranked in theory. Well, even with ranked, you have your rank, which for me I haven't played a lot right now. I'm in ranked. Well, it didn't reset. It reset relatively recently, and I've been doing some build and battle. But I'm at 63. So
Yeah, okay.
I've generally been getting players like around 50 or so. But then I think like occasionally I get a game where someone's like at 420 too. So it's it's a little whether why that is, whether there's like some secondary hidden elo system or if that's just depending on who's available at the time. I don't know. Even in ranked, the matchmaking seems a little wonky, and on casual, sometimes I suspect the matchmaking is just whoever clicks it next is who you pair it against, which it's not ideal, but the games are okay, I guess, would I'd say in general.
Yeah, I would say regarding the, just pairing against whoever, that is bad for, like, that's it's bad for casual standard, and certainly for casual expanded, where that's the only way to play expanded. I think for
Yeah,
something like build and battle, I think it's fine. I imagine you
yeah.
probably agree with that.
Yeah, I think with yeah, because and we'll get talk about. But I think it also is kind of fits with more what it's trying to be like.
Yeah,
It is a bit more random, the style, the feel they're going for there. And within ranked, I know also there's players that want to play top decks against top players. So I assume if you get up to the high, was it Master League, whatever it's called, then I think you're only playing other people in Master League, and the matchmaking might you're trying to pair you more against other hot top players. So therefore, you're getting the people that care about tough matchups. They have a place to play, and those that are less concerned, they have a place to play too. Which kind of it works out all right, I think.
yeah, yeah. I think it's fine. Overall, it's not bad. It's not like crazy good, but it's fine. And then talking about expanded now, obviously, we're saying that like maybe it would be better if there was ranked. Obviously, there's the big elephant in the room. Whenever, I was like, I made a post and it's like, what do people think about live formats? And I feel like kind of what I think I got like one response, but whenever I do this, it's always like we need full expanded, right?
Yeah,
Expanded is the full expanded format, because expanded isn't something that like people play in person very much outside of Japan, where it's played more. I don't know exactly how much it's played in Japan, but again, it is more there. But it was like a format that was played at like regional tournaments and stuff like that sometimes. And it's a format that it doesn't rotate. It starts at black and white era, and then it goes till the current format, or the most recent set. And then it also does have some bans, partially because there's no rotation. Also, cards aren't really designed for expanded when they're printed into standard.
yeah,
Really, I mean they kind of are, but you look at like the ban of like Flapple or the ban of Duskull, things like that. And those correspond to cards that were printed into standard. They're actually in standard now, Dusclops and Force of Vitality, and those cards are, especially Dusclops, that's like very egregiously like super broken and expanded, and Pokemon just didn't really like care about that much. They made a ban. They didn't care literally. They cared some, but not too much. So regarding that though, that's like what expanded is, and it's also a format that is in live, doesn't contain, well, so live, I was actually looking at the collection. So you can look at, your cards, and it contains all the cards black and white on. Like I have a black and white collection. I didn't realize that.
yeah,
I knew I owned the cards, but I didn't know that it like had that collection viewer there, for black and white and X and Y. But you can't play with those cards. They're not like implemented into the game, and that's something that has it changes the format there. So expanded is then Sun and Moon on in terms of what it is. It's not quite the same as full expanded. There are definitely a lot of differences. There are definitely some similarities as well. And I'd argue, I've said this before, that arguably the format is more enjoyable in terms of like a format. You're going to see less pseudo control and like full control, and some of the broken cards are like not there. But ultimately, obviously, the fact that it's not full expanded isn't in the game because Pokemon can't really seem to get it to work, as opposed to them making a conscious decision to do it that way is kind of bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I very similar thoughts to you. I find the Sun and Moon Forward format to be pretty good, because it gets rid of some of the really powerful things. And the cards are probably a little more compatible with each other, being the newer ones. So I think it in some ways it's a better format. It's also nice in that, or it's good and it's bad in that you can't find deck lists for this format because this is not, it only exists in live, and you can't even run like a tournament through Limitless because you can't actually pair into people. There is no matchmaking. There's no, you can't have do friends matches is what I'm trying to get. Nothing in casual works for that, which is its own issue, right? If it's truncated, the fact that it's due to lives, unfortunately, incompetence rather than an intentional decision is, that's a bad look for sure. You can't do friends matches, which would be good. I would like that. It'd be a plus if they could do, even if they kept it in the truncated format. They keep promising to expand the format too. It never has happened yet. I supposedly before the end of this year they're going to start to expand things, and I don't know if they're going to kind of do it like expansion by expansion or what's going to happen. But in terms of playability, Sun and Moon Forward's a good thing. People do want the full expanded, so I think they're going to need to provide that, and I don't think there's enough player base to have two different expanded formats, unfortunately. So I think this current Sun and Moon Forward format's just going to go by the wayside because I assume eventually they'll get full expanded. If we all live long enough, that is. And I don't think there's enough player base to keep both formats alive.
Yeah, like in person, I don't know anyone who play. Like I know a lot of people who play the Pokemon TCG. I know people play standard. Pretty much. There are some who mention GLC from time to time,
Right.
and then I don't know anyone who plays expanded. So, or maybe like one or two people. I knew some people who played it a while ago, but like people like don't really play it. Also regarding like I do wish that there were French Masters. I feel like that's something that should be in the game. Also, yeah, as you're saying, like by the end of the year, they said to like start working on it. So I don't even know exactly what that means. Um, as you're saying, maybe it's expansion by expansion, which could be cool, I think, and honestly get some like hype around it. Right now, it's this kind of like forgotten thing. When you play expanded, I don't know if this is the same for you. You play more than me, but I mostly see. I guess the most common thing I'd see is like rotated standard decks, especially when rotation being recent-ish. Um,
Yeah.
like I saw Conkeldurr with Brute Bonnet, and I don't know. I see things like that.
Yeah, no, because I was playing like an expanded B drill recently, because with the new B drill EX, right, which is good. It's pretty good in standard, I think. I haven't played it in standard yet, and obviously what it needs is some single prize B drills there's some good ones out there in expanded. So I was playing that, and yeah, probably half a number of my opponents were just old standard decks or older standard decks, or even sometimes current standard decks with maybe. Sometimes they're two standard decks. A lot of times they probably were a standard deck with maybe one or two modifications to it with older cards. So yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of people that, and I'm weak right now, in terms of all the expanded cards are. They're not on top of my mind, but it seems like for a lot of there's not many players that understand what the good cards in expanded are. Like what are the good trainers and stuff for expanded? Because there's definitely a list of cards of go-to cards that you want to consider for most decks, and it just seems that people just aren't aware of that. And yeah, I think since like 2020, expanded has not been an official in an official tournament internationally. So the years keep adding up without it being a thing, and it essentially just it's become essentially forgotten. And I don't know, like you said, it happens in Japan, but we only hear about like one tournament a year in Japan. I maybe there's more that we don't hear about, or maybe just one tournament a year is all there is there too. I don't know.
Yeah, that's in terms of major tournaments. I know there are some like smaller ones that happen, but it's not standard there. And obviously it's played even less internationally. Also, I almost said as the card that's like, oh, an expanded staple that's not in standard. I almost said air balloon, which is yeah.
It's
But
back,
yeah. Also in like full expanded, it's not like good because you got Flowstone, but also yeah, you got something like
right?
quick ball. That's something that would fit into that, and I guess you don't see people playing that too much probably.
No, not too often. Obviously, it is good if you're playing something like the Dene GX and stuff. But once you like play the Dene, if someone puts into Dene GX, then they're at least aware of some of what's good in expanded, right? I would say.
Yeah.
Like when I put together the Beedrill deck, I forgot, netball, which I don't know if I actually had really played it before. So which is just awesome for a deck like a grass deck. So but you just got to look around and find these things. But it's not easy to find these things either. Kind of searching for keywords works to some extent, but it's a bit hit or miss.
Yeah, it is definitely something that, you kind of have like if you have experience from when these cards were in standard, you have some idea. And then if you have
Yeah,
experience with expand as well, you'll have some idea. But it's kind of weird. It's definitely, I'd say, pretty fun to deck build and play in live expanded. And it's pretty because the decks aren't like super good. This feels a little bad to say, but you can kind of just like, okay, I mean, like you can be playing bad decks, and then you can be I was to say like I played Mega Zyre and I got like cooked by Conkeldurr, but like I was able to set up like and you can use like more powerful cards than your opponents, which is just kind of crazy. I think you're just like playing with better decks than your opponents consistently, or better cards theoretically. You can be playing with like bad decks. They're just some like really good trainers, and so it's kind of weird. It's definitely a very strange experience. It can be fun though. I guess
yeah,
if people play who play live expand even more than you, in the comments, tell me if you like see regular like see a meta because like obviously in live standard you see a meta and it's not the same as the like IRL meta necessarily or like super consistent, but it's a meta. It's like legitimately a meta. You're gonna see good decks and things. So I think that's it for expanded. I don't know if you have more to add there.
no. I mean, it's the other. It's really the number two format, though, right? In live at this point in time is what I'd say. Standard is by far the number one format. Expanded, I think, is clearly the number two format, but well below the number one format.
Yeah. Then we have the third format. This is not the new one either. It is, well, I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? So this is Trainer Trials here. Trainer Trials, let me see. It's looking here. It says it's a rotating game mode, and there are unique deck building rules.
Yep.
So I believe they are only changing deck building, not like gameplay. And yeah. Oh, so like I currently don't have an active deck. Uh, and live is kind of slow. I wonder what happens if I press play without a deck. Yeah, I can't. Okay, so I own decks for the format because the current format is actually last year's, the same format that was in the World Championship, which is just the format from a year ago. So, you could just play old standard decks. By the way, if you want to play standard decks from a year ago, play them in the trainer trials, not expanded. That's what I'd recommend. But anyways, yeah, you see the trainer trial, which this is what it currently is. I'm gonna quickly look here in another tab because you can't see if you're watching it. But the current one is the World Championship format, which is for what you said, like a month, and then after that is going to
Yeah.
be Water type Wallop, everyone's favorite. Now it's just standard Water type, which is probably okay, but not like super interesting. I mean, a more restricted standard feels kind of boring a lot of the time than older ones where we saw we saw like a fighting type one, the like twin battles, which is two of every card in standard, and then we see GLC, which is probably the best of them, which is there is like
Yeah.
an official or like an semi-official GLC format, which is or essentially like the expanded era card pool. This is not that because you can't play black and white and X and Y, and I would say GLC is worse for not having those cards. It
Yeah.
definitely makes decks feel less consistent and a little less fun. It's not like a huge change. Most GLC decks don't play too many older cards, unlike an expanded where a lot of older cards are very important to the format. But it is still disappointing that you can't play all those there. And as I said, it would be I think most people would agree that the format would be a little more like exciting and interesting with those older cards. Again, it's not a huge change, but I don't think they're really outside of maybe like Vileplume and Hexmaniac. I don't really like those cards, but some people do. But outside of those cards, I think most of the cards are pretty cool from full expanded in or from Black and White and X and Y in
Yeah.
GLC.
Yeah, I mean, because you have the single pinforp aspect to GLC, you really, I think, need those other. You need a bigger card pool to choose from, right, to make the decks more consistent, to feel reasonably consistent, right? Because we have a certain level of that we're used to with standard formats, so we kind of anything that sets up worse than that we think of as bad. You certainly can have a format where you set up a little worse, but if it sets up a lot worse than that, it's generally going to feel frustrating, even if your opponent's in the same boat most of the time. We just kind of expect that. So not having those, yeah, the older cards is a big negative to GLC, and I don't, GLC is going to just suffer until that happens. I mean, we should just consider whether GLC should become a permanent format. But before doing that, though, we've got the current World Championship format from last year. I like that in that people do play occasionally previous formats. A lot of times it is on the World Championships or whatever. They pick a set as the last set of standard to go with World Championship formats, a common one. So I'm glad to see that. That's not a bad notion. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's fine. Some of them, like Twin Battles, like you said, was not really good. Things like where they around rotation, they had early rotation and late rotation, kind of to help people prepare for events IRL. Again, that's a good idea too. Now, the solution to that really would be because this is for people that want to train. There should probably be an unlimited format or expand where you can play against friends. That way, you could do training with whatever format you wanted. That would be good. But live is too buggy, I think, to allow for that because then you start to have tournaments. So I think that might be their logic there. They don't want to encourage too much play of things that get more disruptive. Things like Twin Battles, I would say, have been pretty boring. The water type Wallop now seems okay as we're talking about because water type isn't that good. There's like Mega Greninja. I've been playing that since that's out. That wouldn't be bad. The earlier one they did Fighting type Frenzy, which you had mentioned wasn't you didn't think was great, and I would agree in that fighting type, like to me, you start off with Mega Lucario, which is just very good, and then you have a few other options. But fighting type is so good that like you don't need non-fighting Pokemon in those for the most part. So in a certain sense, you're just truncating the standard format with fighting type. But with water type, water's not as good, so it makes it a little more interesting. So that could be okay. We'll see. Like for myself, whether I play it much, I don't suspect I will. But 10 types. Do you think you're going to play something like the water type wall up when it comes out?
Well, I am 10 types, so I like the different types and stuff that focuses on the types, I
Yep.
guess. I don't know. It's mostly my name, to be honest. But um, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I mean, it's okay.
Okay.
Also, we like mentioned trainer trials and being kind of hard to find matches. I predict it's going to be hard to
Yeah.
find matches for that. It's kind of
Yes.
weird. I don't know. Maybe I suppose in leave in the comments if you want to see me make videos on that. If you're like, yeah, do water type wallop or whatever. I can't imagine there's going to be that much hype for it, as in like any hype for it. I'm trying to think of interesting decks, but like also as you're saying, it is a format like standard where you just can't do everything, so it might just be not very interesting. You also mentioned with like GLC where you're kind of used to your decks like being able to search out, like the cards you need set up in a certain way. And when you look at this format, you're going to have like worse dodges and things like that. So it kind of forces you
Yeah.
to think out the box in a somewhat interesting way, but it's actually not. It's not like super interesting. It's just um, it's okay. Also, they got like the alliteration on the fighting one and the water one, and I'm worried that they're gonna do this for every type. We don't need this for every type. It's like it's
Yeah.
like fine, I suppose, but I'd say like overall the idea with the trans trials is kind of fun, like conceptually, but I'd say implementation wise, it's been pretty I don't know if poor, but just like a little underwhelming. I was definitely hoping they'd like um really go outside the box, and I would say potentially the best of them. GLC is pretty good, but also has like it's a bit of a cult following, and
Yeah.
people know it even outside of that some. And it also it's probably like one of the generally most interesting one as well. There have been a few others that have been interesting, some other singleton expanded ones. I think that's kind of cool in general, but outside of that, there was a format. It was like Tricks and Treats Tussler, it might have been Trick or Treat or something. I don't know. The name was kind of weird, I remember, and I think it was different in different places. That one, the general format was bad, but they actually messed it up really
Yeah.
badly, and then like unbanned all the cards, and you could do like some stupid stuff and do like a bunch of ace specs. It was really funny. It didn't necessarily create for a good environment, but it was funny. So that was something that I really enjoyed. Everyone who watched my videos like really enjoyed it as well. The people I played against probably didn't enjoy it, but um, it was like legitimately really fun and really silly, and I think it like brought something new to the game, and that was really good. It wasn't something that people really talked about very much. I didn't really see other videos on YouTube about it. None of my opponents really knew about it. I think I saw maybe one person playing with the deck that was like utilizing it, and it was kind of weird, but it was really fun in my opinion. And that's why I want to see. Well, I don't want to see Pokemon TCG Live failing miserably. I guess isn't that's not what I'm hoping for, but I'm hoping for
Yeah.
more crazy outside the box stuff, which I think is really fun and is not what they're doing. That they're just doing boring stuff because the actual format was play expanded with 4 rare candy and 4 switch, which is not very interesting.
No, that was a strange one. Although, look, there was I don't remember what the format was exactly, but it was a standard single prize format of some type that basically ended up being Festival
Festival
Lead
League,
Mirror.
yeah. There's
Um,
actually like 3 or 4 formats that were like just Festival League apparently.
well, yeah, I mean they had the one that was pretty much any standard deck single prize that it was Festival League Mirror, and they liked Festival League Mirror so much that then shortly after that they made a grass single prize format, right? That basically then guaranteed it was Festival League Mirrors, even more so. Which just wasn't very enjoyable. I don't quite, they haven't done the best job of picking formats for this. I will say that's its own issue too. And sometimes I see suggestions in the forums for things, and sometimes a lot of times they're kind of like make head scratchers as to what people are suggesting. So um, GLC certainly is a fine format. It does need the other cards, but that one's I think it delivers consistency in terms of being a good format.
Yeah, and you mentioned before like if it should be a mainstay, and
Yeah.
I think maybe I would personally rather it. I would prefer to stick with the train trials if they were willing to think out more outside the box and push more like interesting formats.
Hmm.
But in terms of like people don't really play train trials too much, so having something more consistent um could be good. Something obviously that's popular in some sense could be good. GLC isn't like super popular compared to standard. I mean, nothing is. Actually, we'll talk about build and battle. Build and battle is pretty popular as well. It's not, I mean, as popular as standard, but like it's something a lot of people know about. GLC and expanded, those are formats that people don't know about that much. Which isn't like doesn't mean they're bad formats. They are both good formats, but in terms of getting people to actually like start playing them, making sure that they're more known is good. And GLC is okay in that. I mean, it's more known than like Twin Battle or something. I don't like Twin Battles.
No, because it was just basically standard format to too much of an
But
extent.
it's like boring standard.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, it was pretty much it's just play Dragapult basically. Some Dragapult build is what it comes down to, which isn't what we need. And you can't play an ace spec. I guess that's the other thing because you can't play two. One of the things with trainer trials is GLC had been one of the trainer trials that had come up very frequently. This time they've gone down to just two trainer trials throughout, the World Championship 2025 and then Water Type Wallop, each for a month. So typically in the past they would have had more than two for that time period, and they would have generally had GLC as usually as like the longest running one too in it. So I don't know if they think that there's people are uninterested in GLC, or why it's not there and why they don't have so many formats. Part of it is I think less formats is just there hasn't been a lot of interest in it. That'd be my guess. We never know what the numbers are. They know the numbers of plays. So I think just having less formats, if people aren't doing it, why have a lot of different formats? I do find the removing of GLC to be a little curious. Maybe they want to pull it back to try to get people more excited next time they introduce it again. I'm not sure.
Yeah, or maybe like it's still in GLC and Train Trials. It is like kind of hard to find matches, and it's
Yeah,
hard to find deck lists. It's just like it's definitely in a weird middle ground um there. But then I think it's time to move on to the final format, the probably like the most interesting one, obviously the new one here, which is Build and Battle here.
yeah,
Build and Battle is a format that is like a mainstay here. This is not like a format that is going away, though the I guess format of the format is going to change. But Build and
yeah,
Battle is a format which is essentially the same as pre-release. The difference is, I mean, pre-releases are kind of, they're before the set comes out. Build and Battle appears not to be. So far, it is not, but we'll see what happens with that in the future. And it's a format where you play with
right,
40 card decks and four prize games, and then you first are given a 40 card deck, and then with that 40 card deck, you are also given four packs of the expansion. And then which the Pokemon or most of the cards in the kits are from the expansion, but a lot of the trainers aren't. So that's what you'll see there. But then within the packs, you get four packs of that expansion, and you also get a promo with the kits as well, which is kind of cool, I guess. But then you get four packs. You can make changes to your deck there, and then you play 5 games. And with those 5 games, you depending on your wins and losses, you get stuff. There's a separate currency here called exchange tokens, or no,
yeah,
event tokens. There we go. And you
yeah,
can use those to play. You can also buy some, and you get some for free. And there are some times when you can enter for free as well. Um, it's a little weird. I was able to enter for free yesterday. Like I think I've entered for free multiple times, which seems weird. I don't know if that's right. I could be just wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And I don't know if that's what was supposed to happen. But anyways, you can play. It's not like that hard to play. Theoretically, you can run out of the tokens and buy all of them from the shop, which is like 100 something.
yeah.
But it's still something that is interesting that you can run out. We'll see what happens with that. But so far, I played it. You played it. It's been fun, I think. I don't know. We'll talk about
Yeah.
exactly how fun it's been, but it's been easy to find matches.
Yeah, I mean the currency you get, they gave everyone 10 to start with. Your first game was free. You didn't take one of the coins. Every time you play a series of 5 games, if you get to 3 wins, then for each game you get some trainer points, and if you get a win, you get a pack with it, or more than one pack if you win enough games, I believe. And then you also get, if you get your third win, you get another uh, coin or token, so you can keep doing it again. So if you get 3 wins, which if you'll do a decent amount of the time, I guess, slightly less than half the time on average. But if you're above average player, you'll get it more than half the time, and then you can buy them. You can buy a special thing, I think, of what, 5 or 10 to start off with. I think it's 5 at a discount. Then you can buy 99 of them, and then, but I think it uses. Then after that, I don't know if it'll reset. Because for me, like I kind of I've enjoyed it, and in one sense, I wouldn't mind making a video on each of the decks. But if I to do that, I might have to do 10, 12, or more times, right? In which case, within 6 months, I could run out of coins, right? So that would be a concern. So I don't know if it's going to reset or not. So that'll be interesting to see. But I've enjoyed it. It's been fun to get. In terms of the in-game economy, thinking now live is not monetized. And at this point, I at times I thought it would get monetized. I don't anymore at this point. I don't think with the way Pokemon's structured, it's going to happen. The company with the international being separate from uh, you know, the Pokemon Company. But comparing it to Magic the Gathering Arena, which is highly monetized, this feels very much within the Magic the Gathering Arena's economy. Kind of like jump in some of the, if you're familiar with it, there's things because you get this 40 card deck of all new cards, and you get 4 packs of new cards, and it has its own special currency, and it kind of feels economically like the Magic the Gathering Arena economy, I will say. To me, I don't know. You started playing some Arena as well. Do you kind of feel like it feels like that economy a little bit?
Yeah, kind of. It's definitely interesting in terms of getting stuff. If you get the token back, it's essentially like free stuff. It's
Yeah.
still it's still good to do in terms of getting new stuff, I suppose. You can generally get new stuff that you want though. I'm actually gonna quickly look to see if you can craft the promos. I feel like I should know this, but I don't.
Yeah,
What's
I
the
don't
promo?
think you can.
Delphox. Um.
Or maybe
Oh yeah, I think you can. Okay, I just I just got one. So I added that to my deck. Did not mean to do.
okay.
But yeah, so it looks like you can. So that's like not a huge deal. Put together them
No.
that way, but it is still cool to be able to like just get some cards. I guess I don't know. I don't really care that much about getting cards in live because I play with the regular arts, and then also
Right.
I also you can like get all the cards you want in the game pretty
Yes.
easily, except for certain like weird promos, which you can't even get through this. So it doesn't really matter that much in that regard. For newer players, could be good for getting stuff maybe, and it doesn't require you to have anything, right? So we didn't say it. So you like enter, and then you play with the deck you get, and then you get the cards at the end, or
Right.
maybe at the beginning. So you are playing on a theoretically same like similar playing field as all the other people. There are four different kit options. We'll talk about what they're going to do in the future, which is actually going back to older formats, where the kits are slightly different, but you're going to see these different kit options. So they're not like perfectly balanced, but the balance is okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're designed for IRL play, right? I mean, that's what the build and battle kits are designed for. Events that you go into to a store. Oh, we're talking about matchmaking. So with here, it does feel I think the matchmaking is rather random, which is fine, and I think that fits with how it actually works IRL because the build and battle or the pre-release events they're more casual events anyway. So you tend to get a bit of more of a mix of experienced and less experienced players. So you kind of that randomness of opponents probably feels more like how it actually works IRL.
Yeah. I think it's fine for that. Not that I've noticed like I mean, there's definitely I'd say less skill expression in this. There's certainly some, but it's not like crazy. There's less deck building as well. I will say a bit of a
Yeah,
complaint, especially with the newer pre-release kits. This applies to the older ones as well. Some I'll just quickly say the older pre-release kits before the Mega era had two essentially half kits. So then you have two types in your deck, presumably, or two types to start with in your deck. Well, okay.
right.
Right now the like there's the dragon one with two types, but like you'll see more types there, which means that you have like theoretically a less consistent deck, but also you'll have different attacking options, which is a little bit more interesting. The decks will look different from each other a little bit more, and then also it's probably easier to put cards into your deck. Generally, I'd say we haven't put too many cards into our decks. Maybe some trainers, maybe piece of the evolution line if you pull it, and then maybe some other Pokemon, but not too many there. So overall, the decks haven't been super interesting in terms of deck building. I wouldn't say adding on to them, and their gameplay patterns are certainly somewhat interesting, but they're not like crazy interesting, which is fine for this, I think. But with the older pre-release kits, you'll see probably more deck building stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you start off with a 40 card deck. You pull four packs. You may get a couple cards to put in. Typically, I have, although there've been at least one. I've just entered my fourth event, so I've done I played through three. Got at least three wins on two of those, at two of those three. But just for the one time I actually did not change the deck because I didn't pull any cards that fit with it, but I probably added somewhere between 2 to 5 cards that got swapped out in my other games just to give a sense of where where things are at in terms of how much creativity in terms of deck building you can utilize.
Yeah, and I did one where I pulled an Avalugg line, a 3/2 Avalugg line, as well as an item card. I don't name the item card. It's the one that where you recover the water Pokemon and or energy there.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
it was translated as Big Catch Net. That's not the actual name, but anyways, that card. So I pulled that. I never actually played it because I build it every time. But I played with the Avalugg, or like a really silly, stupid deck. One of my opponents quit, which I don't think they should have quit, but that gave me I think my third win there, and overall I would say that the format can you can try to get creative, but you're probably gonna end up with something worse than you started if you try to get like really creative.
yeah,
Not that that's really creative, but
yeah.
something.
Yeah, I mean, when I've played opponents, I've played what 15 matches I think. 'Cause I've done it 3 times. I've completed it, and I think 2 of the games I saw some EX Pokemon that obviously they're generally you there's a good chance you want to play, but there's a good chance you don't have any to play. Like I think I have currently one EX. I pulled a Beedrill, but I don't, I can't play it because I don't have the evolution line. I actually have the basic, but if I had a stage one, I might even slap it in a 1-1-1 line. It'd be a little dicey, but it also would be very good if I set up with it.
Wait, which kit
Oh,
do you
I don't
have,
know.
by the way, actually?
The current one I have Crobat, which I haven't.
Okay.
So this is my fourth time doing it, and I've got a different set each time, which is very nice as well.
Yeah.
So I haven't played the Crobat, um, and I haven't looked to modify the deck. I probably will a little bit, but what was I going to say? So EXs make sense go in the deck if there's some synergy. It doesn't have to be huge synergy, but the one thing is in terms of modified decks, a lot of times people are putting in cards that just don't make sense. I've seen multiple occasions where opponents started to have like 3 or 4 different types of energies in the deck, and pretty much that's just not going to work well because you don't have an optimized set of trainers anyway. So having a lot of different Pokemon with a lot of different, all these different energies, you're just not going to set up. It's not going to work. So usually, don't try to customize your deck too much. Would be one of my pieces of advice.
Yeah, yeah. The starting decks are pretty fine. I actually made a video like talking about different like tips for pre-release. You've done like some pre-release stuff as well. So
Yeah.
you can like check that stuff out and get subscribe so you don't miss more of that stuff in the future. But it is definitely something that like you can go in with like a bunch of strategy and like knowledge and stuff, and that can help you navigate the matchups and things like that, which can be fine, but it's not something you need. And while we're here, I guess I'll talk about what the pre-release format is going to look like in the future. So, or there's like a schedule here. So it's Chaos Rising. For 2 weeks here, I believe. And then it's Destiny Rivals for 2 days. Twilight Masquerade for 2 days, then Perfect Order for 10 days there. Which is definitely interesting and definitely not what I was expecting. It's kind of
Y-
weird, right? That it's
Yeah.
I don't know, 2 days for just a couple of those formats. Definitely weird, but that's something that you're probably just gonna kind of have to, jump into, I'd say.
Yeah. Either try to either have it written down, marked on your calendar to do it, or just don't worry about it. Because typically, if they're doing it like 2 days, you expect it over a weekend. I can see like having something for a week or a week and a half, and then something's different on the weekends. But here they split the weekend. One goes through Saturday, one is on the Sunday. So that's just strange how those two are so short. And like you said, I think it's the Mega Evolution build and battle decks that are made of just one 40 card pre-constructed deck, and the earlier ones, the Scarlet and Violets, are two 20 card packs put together. So whether so you get a little more variety or a little more randomness, which sometimes you'll get something with synergy, sometimes you get a pack with less synergy. Probably more often with the Scarlet and Violet era, I would suspect. But hopefully, we'll take a look once we get that and can actually play those.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. I'm excited for that. I'm actually not very familiar with either of those pre-releases, to be honest. But I think it will be hopefully pretty fun there. And I hope everyone is excited for it as well because like so far, as I said, I've been like seeing people, and I've heard a lot of people
Yeah.
playing it and stuff like that, which is super exciting to see. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what we'll continue in the future. Hopefully it keeps up.
Right. Hopefully, the people keep playing it. It's the new thing, so people always like the new shiny thing. So hopefully, it stays. I will say 2 things. One, I feel like 3 of the 4 decks are pretty good. I haven't played Crobat yet. I played against it though, and it is, I think, awkward to play against. The Fire deck is good, which is what is that? Delphox
Yeah.
is pretty good, and I played the Gudra deck, the Dragon one, and that was good. I also played the Lightning deck, which is Ampharos. That deck was not good, and I don't think it was just me. I think that deck's not good. You can't one shot your other Pokemon, which you can do with the Fire and the Dragon deck. And also, not only do you not one shot, but you also can't attack back to back turns. So it's really rough. I would say the lightning deck just in the secondary attacker wasn't very useful either. So I feel like there's three solid decks. And if you get the lightning deck, at this point you can just concede, but you do get rewards for games if you lose. So just kind of probably just go match up and hit concede, and you may annoy your opponents, or they might be happy because they just get a free win. But you'll get several hundred trainer points by just entering and conceding. So they probably, well, it's not the intent. It probably, to me, encourages you just to go ahead, match in, and concede if you have a deck that just you think is really unplayable.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. I guess I don't know, but I haven't played with it yet. I do like hand size stuff.
Okay.
I say this all the time. So I do want to play with that at some point. But yeah, we'll see. Like it definitely feels like it's pretty.
Are you? I
Oh yeah.
just lost types. Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's just bad. Um, there's not that much within that. Yeah, so um, overall, I'd say that the obviously you have some cool stuff with the different kits. I don't know. How do you find the gameplay patterns?
I think they're well. First, it's a 40 card deck, four prizes. Your trainer selection's not as good as a standard deck, not surprisingly. They're not horrible, but you will play suboptimal trainers in them, so you're going to set up a little worse. But your opponent's kind of the same. And it's only four prizes. It's all singleton, so I find the games generally
Single
haven't
prize.
lasted too long. What was that?
Single prize, not
Oh,
singleton.
single prize. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I meant to say single prize.
Yeah,
So,
it's not
um,
necessarily a single prize though.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, like a couple times I have seen EXs. I haven't got to play one yet, so I don't. Um, I haven't seen an EX that just obliterates things, which at sometimes, if there's, in past pre-releases, that if you pull the right uh, EX or V Pokemon, you just kind of rolled through everybody. Hopefully, I don't know if that exists in this current format or not. So this current packs, but yeah, I think I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed uh, having to adjust to what you get. I think is fun, and you can adjust your decks after every game, which that's the big difference from an IRL. Which once the tournament starts, you can't change it. So keep that in mind. If you don't like it, you're free to change it after every game. So, tweaking it, big changes probably won't get you any place good, but tweaking it, feel free to do that. I've enjoyed it, and I said you've enjoyed it as well.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna like it's something I'm gonna enjoy like long term.
Yeah.
Um, I'd love to say that I'll be playing this like a lot, but I'll be playing it some. But I don't know if I'll be playing it in a week from now, right? We'll see. I think it's cool to have
Yeah.
it changing up a bunch. I do like that. I like change, like a little bit of chaos. Um, not too much Chaos Rising though. Chaos Rising pre-release format is fine. I'll say Perfect Order. They're going back to that. And that one's kind of actually that's probably okay. I played it in person and there's a lot of
Okay.
mulligans, which wasn't good. But other than that, it's kind of fun, I guess. And I think
Yeah.
there's sometimes it's like sometimes one kit feels really bad, but I don't think it's like or one kit feels really good. But I think you can have fun with any of the kits as well.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions I have is one of the things back before live with Pokemon TCG Online was theme format was, that one it had legacy, but that was kind of a dead format for a while at the end. So ignoring that, there was standard, there was full expanded, and there was a theme deck. And theme deck was very popular, and it was enjoyable. It was kind of relaxed and low keyed, which I liked. But also the way the economy worked, it made it much more accessible because you could get one of the top decks very very easily, whereas the top decks for like standard were they were expensive to acquire, I will say. But I'm wondering, but I enjoyed theme format. You did as well. Is could this build and battle kind of become the new theme format as kind of the secondary, more casual, kick back and relax format in live?
I think it could. Yeah, I think so. Um, it's obviously different in the fact that you don't choose what you play with, but it is similar in the fact that
Right.
you are doing these decks that are kind of
Yeah, it's
pre-built,
pre-built.
mostly pre-built. You have some
Yeah.
limitations, but overall, I'd say it's fun. I'd say the gameplay and theme is a little more interesting. There's more deck options. I think as we get to the
Yeah.
two kits combined, I think that's a little more interesting. I've kind of said that in the past. And I think if it was like a format, if it was almost like a draft format or something, where it's like more focused on deck building, because this like deck building is a part of it. In some ways, it's the main part of it, but it doesn't feel like this thing that's it doesn't feel like deck building is super highlighted in this. It's just sometimes you can build something really cool, but like a lot of the time you're not.
Yeah. Well, the other part of pre-release format is it is a collecting thing. And I wonder if they would make a change down the road where these pre-release kits are the only way to get the stamped Pokemon,
Yeah, and
right?
I
That
wouldn't
you
mind
can't
that.
craft them. Right. So then if you wanted your four Crobats, you just have to play a whole bunch of build and battle to get it, right? Then that's another aspect of the IRL world that they could incorporate into live by restricting, because that's the only way to get the stamp things is in the pre-release kits. So they could do the same thing here. I imagine a lot of people would be upset, but I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. That a lot of people don't like it. People complain about like crafting like the
Uh,
rarer cards. I didn't really care that much
yeah.
about it, but I understand why people didn't like it as well.
Right, now you have to wait 6 months to craft them. I mean, I think the issue is it wasn't a restriction and then it got added, right? That's the problem. And since it's a free, it's a free game. It's one of those things. Again, I thought that was a move to monetize things because then I can see wanting to, if people are really that keen to get the new arts right away, make them pay some money, and those that don't care about the arts, let them play for free. That honestly kind of made sense to me. But again, monetization is just not part of live, so it was a bit of an odd thing that did annoy people. So especially when you have a game that's known for being buggy, you shouldn't be doing things to annoy the fan base.
Yeah, it's definitely I don't know. The game's in a weird spot, right? Overall, I
Yeah.
think it's in an okay spot, and I think Build and Battle is a really nice addition. It's something that I saw and I
Yeah.
was like, this is gonna be cool. And I think it's been even better than I was expecting. I don't know what your thoughts were when you saw it. You'd agree with that?
Yeah, I was pleased to see it. I enjoy the format. I was not sure if it would work properly, and so far it seems like it's working properly. It seems like you don't have to pay for your games, I will say. I did like I double checked when I signed up for this latest game that I did get charged for it. So you had a visual where the cost had a big line through it, and then it seemed like it wasn't charging you. So I wasn't sure adding another currency in this whole other format if the programmers could handle it. It seems like for the most part though it's working, and that's good. And then the second concern is will there be opponents? There is for now. Hopefully 2 months from now there's still opponents. That's like the next step to see what happens. But yeah, I think it's a really good addition to live. And potentially this could certainly become the number two format in live. Like I said, right now expanded casual is the number two format, but even it's a huge drop off. I think build and battle could surpass expanded for the number two format. I'm pretty sure since the last few days since build and battle's been out, it has been the second most played format in live, probably by a big margin.
Yeah, and that's cool to see. As I said, I do think it will fall off. Hopefully, it won't fall off too much, or I guess hopefully it won't fall off, right? But hopefully they
Right.
keep doing a good job with it as well. And it is interesting seeing them like go back to older stuff instead of getting Twilight Masquerade and Destined Rivals. Maybe
Yeah.
this would even be how they introduce the older cards. I don't know. That seems like kind of weird, weird connection, but it could be the case.
I mean, it would be nice to, from my standpoint, expect you to have build and battle packs from before we were playing the game. So it'd be a different experience than we've had, and then for a lot of players too, right?
Yeah.
As you go back every year older, fewer people will have actually played that IRL. So it's just a nice way to open up a new experience to people that they never got to have before.
Yeah. Also, I just realized it started with the format. It started with Fates Collided, which is only like 3 sets before what they have in the game, so it's actually not that much older. So kind of disregarded what I said earlier,
Okay.
but
Okay. But yeah, so we're both pleased with build and battle format, a good addition. Hopefully it stays strong in the game. And Yeah. So I mean, live is it's in a pretty good spot. It's weird when release these letters. Sometimes it's very positive. Sometimes it raises more questions. Um, they did what they intended to do here with Build and Battle, so that's a good thing. So hopefully, just a sign of strength going forward.
Yeah, and this was actually, I believe, there was added to the game pretty soon after they were said like that there was some stuff going wrong with the game, or that they were like struggling. It
Yeah.
was like, oh wait, we got something good. So that's cool. And they didn't like overhype it. I think hype is good for a game, but also
Right.
if you overhype it, it's a problem. And I think they've avoided that here, which is good. And people are happy with it. So overall, as you're saying, I think Live's in a pretty good spot right now. I am looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the future. Hopefully, with like more cool format stuff, maybe like more cool trainer trial stuff. You mentioned potentially full GLC is something that we could see. More expanded stuff, obviously, a pretty big thing there as well.
Yeah.
But anyways, we hope you all enjoyed the episode here today. But tell us your thoughts on the state of live and the different formats, which formats you've been playing, stuff you want to see as well, and what your predictions are for the future. If you think things are gonna continue going well, if you think they're gonna start falling apart a little. But we hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff, and check us out on YouTube at Uncommon Fossil and 10 Types. And you can listen to us on podcasting platforms, but if you are commenting, make sure you do that on YouTube so we can see it there. We hope you all enjoy, and as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.